For most of us, there is a very specific, almost universal feeling of dread that just washes over you the second you look at an empty cardboard box.
Oh, yeah. That and a fresh roll of backing tape.
Right. It is that sinking realization that you have to somehow, fit your entire life into a series of square corrugated containers.
It's incredibly daunting.
It really is.
Hmm.
If you were to ask people to rank their absolute least favorite life experiences, moving is, invariably right up there with getting a root canal or maybe auditing your own
Or
taxes.
sitting in gridlock traffic for 6 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we accumulate an incredible amount of weight in our lives.
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. I mean that in both a physical and psychological sense. We build these nests of possessions, routines, and spatial memory.
Yeah, we get comfortable.
Right. And moving forces you to physically pick up every single ounce of that accumulated weight. You have to confront it, put it in a vehicle, carry it somewhere else, and just rebuild the nest from scratch.
Which is universally exhausting.
It really is.
But our mission today is to take a deep dive into an experience that completely flips that script on its head.
And it is a fascinating journey.
It is. Our guide for this exploration is a personal essay written by an author named Su Feng.
We're written on May 10th, 2024, to be exact.
Right, and it was recently translated for us by Kinyu. It documents something just completely wild, which is Su Feng's revelations from moving nearly 30 times over the course of their life.
I mean, 30 moves is a staggering number for anyone.
It's hard to even wrap my head around that. 30 times.
It is a lot. But what makes this deep dive so compelling is that this isn't just, a story about someone with a severe case of wanderlust who just endlessly hires moving trucks.
Right.
It is a journey that starts in the mundane, stressful reality of packing boxes. But it ultimately leads to this radical, almost utopian hack for living a completely frictionless life.
A frictionless life. That sounds like the dream.
It really challenges you to redefine what a home actually is.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because before we can even get into the philosophy or the why of moving 30 times, we really have to understand the sheer dizzying scale of where this person has lived.
The geography of it is wild.
Yeah, because if I move from the east side of town to the west side, I consider that a major life event. But Sufeng's map is just entirely different.
To truly understand the author's mindset, we really have to look at the geography of this nomadic life. Zhu Feng's essay reveals a life lived across vastly different worlds.
Bouncing between entirely different climates, even?
Exactly. They were moving between environments that couldn't be more diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
You have the rainy, dense, metropolitan streets of Vancouver, Canada, contrasted against living in Vanuatu.
And Vanuatu is like a remote tropical island nation in the South Pacific, right?
Yes, exactly.
That alone sounds like two completely different lifetimes. You don't just pack the same wardrobe for Vancouver and Vanuatu.
You certainly don't. And, that international contrast is just the beginning. The essay then details this relentless, sweeping tour across China.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the author lived in major historic cities like Nanjing, then transitioned to the mountainous regions of Lijiang and Kunming in Yunnan province.
Those are massive geographic leaps.
And it doesn't stop there. They spent time living right alongside the banks of the Peacock River in Korla, out in the vast Xinjiang region.
So they are just covering incredible distances.
Right, and beyond the broad regional moves, there is this dizzying list of specific, sometimes obscure neighborhoods.
Like where?
Places like Mablerain, Belvedere, Eastleigh, Marlborough, Greendale.
Wait, I can't even keep track of all these.
It just keeps going. Chitunguisa, Ember, Avondale, Yuzhong, Zhangyi, Jiuquan, and Cheheking.
Looking at this list of places is literally like watching someone throw a dart at a spinning globe 30 times. It's almost breathless just trying to follow that itinerary.
It is. And to highlight just how deeply ingrained this habit of relocation is, the author notes that in one specific area, Mount Pleasant, they actually moved 3 separate times.
Wait, 3 separate times?
Yeah, just within that single neighborhood.
Hold on, moving 3 times in the same neighborhood? That almost sounds like masochism. At that point, you aren't even changing your grocery store. You are just subjecting yourself to the physical torture of moving for the sake of it.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Huh?
But the essay anchors us with their most recent move, which happened on April 28, 2024. And reading through the source text, this particular move feels massively different in scale.
Okay, how so?
Well, this latest relocation is really the pivot point of the whole essay. Xu Feng moved from a place called Lac La Hache, And this is highly significant because they note they had actually lived there for over 6 years.
Oh, wow. For someone who's moved nearly 30 times, 6 years is basically a lifetime.
Exactly. So after this relatively long period of being stationary, they packed up and drove 5 hours to a new home on the shores of Anaheim Lake.
And the way Feng describes this new place, it definitely doesn't sound like a typical residential cul-de-sac.
Not at all. The author explicitly calls Anaheim Lake a vacation paradise. The setup they describe is just breathtaking.
I mean, a lake house sounds nice.
It's more than a lake house.
Mm-hmm.
They arrived at this vast, tranquil lake with clear views of snowy coastal mountains, all backed by a massive, untouched primeval forest.
This sounds incredible.
But here's the detail that completely shifts our understanding of what this specific move entailed. Schwiffen didn't just buy a nice lakeside cabin.
Right.
They took over a property with 8 wooden houses capable of accommodating 30 people.
Wait, 8 houses?
Yes. And on top of that, they leased the management rights to 800 square kilometers of forest land.
Okay, stop right there. We are going from bouncing around apartments in Mount Pleasant to suddenly leasing 800 square kilometers of primeval forest with an 8-cabin compound.
That's the leap they made.
That is not just wanting a change of scenery. That is like building your own country. What is driving that kind of escalation? Is this extreme wanderlust or a relentless search to build a perfect, permanent utopia?
That question cuts right to the heart of the essay. Is it wanderlust or is it world building?
Right.
To answer it, we have to examine how Schwiffen breaks down the internal push and pull of this lifelong relocation ritual. We really need to understand the psychology driving someone to repeatedly put themselves through a process that we've already established is universally dreaded.
I am so glad you brought up the dread again, because earlier I mentioned that visceral nightmare of packing tape and cardboard. The author absolutely does not romanticize that part of the process, do they?
Not in the slightest. Schwiffen very clearly and very honestly outlines the heavy, brutal toll of moving.
So they hate packing as much as we do.
Oh, definitely. The cons they list are exactly what you or I would experience, but magnified by 30. The author states plainly that moving is physically exhausting.
Yeah, my back hurts just thinking about it.
It requires endless, repetitive sorting and repacking of your belongings. You have to dismantle your life, put it in transit, and then arrive at a new place, only to unpack and arrange everything all over again.
It's just endless labor.
And they also admit that often it's just too much physical work for one person. You reach a breaking point where you just have to rope in others for help.
Which carries its own unique kind of social stress. I mean, no one wants to be the person bribing their friends with pizza to carry a sleeper sofa up 3 flights of stairs.
Exactly. But the physical labor is really only half the battle. Schwiffen details the administrative nightmare of the process, which is arguably worse.
The paperwork.
Yeah, you have the anxiety of vacating the old residence, the hunt to secure a new place, and then this incredibly tedious chore that acts as a massive invisible mental load, which is updating your addresses.
Oh, that is the absolute worst part. You have to update your bank, your credit cards, your vehicle registration, your online shopping defaults, every single subscription service.
And you always miss one.
Always. And then your mail ends up going to a stranger for 6 months.
The essay specifically calls out the burden of registering that new address with relevant departments, companies, and individuals. It's an exhausting bureaucratic tether.
And even after you do all that, the work still isn't over.
Right, because the author talks about the labor of taming a new environment. You have to plan and develop the space, physically plant flowers and trees, and figure out all the quirks of a new building.
So you are constantly burning energy creating this new environment from scratch.
Precisely.
So let's look at the math here. The packing, the physical exhaustion, the social debt of asking friends for help, the endless labyrinth of address changes, and the literal landscaping.
It's a lie.
The paperwork and the gardening alone sound like a full-time job. With all these massive recurring headaches, how could the payoff possibly be worth packing up 30 times?
It's hard to imagine.
I just don't see the effort to reward ratio balancing out for a normal human being.
Well, to understand the reward, we have to look at the brain chemistry of a new environment. The author argues that the psychological payoff actually outweighs that immense physical and administrative toll.
Really? How so?
There are very specific liberating benefits to constant relocation. First, Schwiffen mentions the rush of curiosity. and the profound sense of novelty.
Okay, I can see that.
When you move to a new place, your brain gets to appreciate entirely different spatial ambiances and house structures.
It's almost like a sensory baseline reset. You stop taking your environment for granted because everything is visually new.
Exactly. The author highlights the pure joy of rearranging and setting everything up anew. It's an act of design and creation that really revitalizes the mind.
That makes sense.
But perhaps the most functional, practical benefit they point out is that moving acts as a forced, minimalist reset.
Oh man, we all have those dim boxes in the back of the closet.
Boxes.
Yeah, the ones we taped up 3 moves ago and haven't opened since, but we just refuse to throw away.
Right, right. Well, moving forces a confrontation with those doom boxes. So Feng points out that relocation is a built-in opportunity to discard items that are available but never used.
Or things that have just sat untouched gathering dust.
Exactly. It is a mandatory mechanism to make life more concise and simple. You are forced to look at an object and ask, is this worth my physical energy to transport?
And if the answer is no, you shed the dead weight.
You drop it and move on.
That makes perfect sense. You really don't realize how much useless stuff you own until you have to physically carry it to a truck. But shedding physical weight is one thing. Suifeng mentions another benefit of moving that caught my eye, and it is strikingly blunt.
I think I know which one you mean. You were referring to the social escape.
Yes.
The author writes that moving allows you to, and this is a direct translation, get away from troublesome environments and people.
I deeply appreciate the honesty there.
It's very candid.
We constantly frame moving as this noble journey toward a new career opportunity or a better school district. But sometimes you really just want to escape a toxic workplace or an annoying neighbor who plays music at 2 a.m.
Or a social circle that is just dragging you down.
Exactly. Moving allows you to just pack up a truck, draw a hard line in the sand, and say, I am geographically done with this specific group of people.
It is a highly relatable impulse. But if we look at the core tension of the essay, it creates a paradox.
How so?
Well, you have the deep exhaustion of the logistics, the forms, the packing, weighed against the incredible joy of novelty, a simplified life, and leaving troublesome people behind.
Right.
How do you keep the refreshing mental reset of moving without eventually burning out from the crushing logistics of doing it 30 times?
Because by move number 20, I guarantee the joy of rearranging a living room would be completely overshadowed by the dread of filling out another change of address form at the post office.
Which brings us to the ultimate revelation of the author's journey, and really the crux of this entire deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
Suifeng found a way to resolve this tension entirely. They engineered a way to keep all the novelty and mental freshness of a new location while completely deleting the exhausting logistics.
Deleting the logistics. How?
It centers around a radical paradigm shift into what the author calls becoming a Chanyuan celestial.
But wait, back up. What exactly is a Chanyuan celestial?
It's a very specific concept.
Because up until now, we've been talking about standard real estate, leases, and cardboard boxes, and suddenly we are talking about celestials.
It is a big shift in terminology.
Are we talking about a registered commune, a new spiritual philosophy, or just a group of friends sharing a massive wilderness timeshare? We really need to define this before we go further.
It is a crucial question. The essay introduces Chanyuan Celestial as a foundational concept of their lifestyle. Based on the context provided in the text, it operates as a philosophical and spiritual community. It is a network of like-minded individuals who have chosen to completely abandon the traditional, isolated model of private property ownership. Instead, they embrace a collective stewardship of spaces.
So, shared spaces.
Yes. When Suifeng leased that massive 800-square-kilometer property at Anaheim Lake with the 8 wooden houses, they specifically established it as a secluded haven for the Chanyuan Celestials.
So it is an intentional community.
Essentially, yes.
But whenever I hear about collective ownership, my brain immediately goes to the tragedy of the commons.
The idea that shared things get ruined.
Yeah. I mean, if nobody owns the space individually, who pays the mortgage? Who cleans the gutters? What stops someone from wrecking the living room and leaving the mess for the next person? How does this actually work in practice without descending into total chaos?
The mechanics of it rely on a complete shift in consciousness, which the author refers to as entering the 1,000-year world.
The 1,000-year world.
Right. The system only functions because every Chanyuan Celestial operates on the same frequency of profound mutual trust and shared responsibility.
Okay, so it requires a lot of buy-in.
Total buy-in.
Yeah.
The tragedy of the commons happens when individuals prioritize their own comfort over the group. The Chanyuan philosophy requires shedding the ego of mine and fully embracing ours.
I see.
The community as a whole maintains the properties, pays the leases, and tends the gardens. You treat every home in the network as a sacred space because you understand that your comfort relies on the previous occupant treating it the exact same way.
It is basically a high-trust society scale-bound to a specific network.
Exactly.
But how does this philosophical shift actually solve the nightmare of moving boxes?
Well, becoming a Chanyuan celestial completely changed the physics of moving for Shifeng. The author calls this their most memorable revelation.
Okay.
They state that after adopting this lifestyle, moving became effortlessly easy.
How easy? Are we talking about a community fund that hires full-service movers to pack everything for you?
Much more radical than that. Yufeng details exactly how the 5-hour move from Lac Lahash to the New Haven at Anaheim Lake worked under this new paradigm.
Let's hear.
They didn't pack boxes.
Okay.
They didn't hire a moving truck.
Mm.
The author says that everything at their previous home in Lac Lahash was left completely intact.
Wait, they just left all their stuff behind.
Everything. The furniture, the kitchenware, the tools, the garden they had spent 6 years tending.
You're kidding.
No, it was all left fully operational and pristine for other Chanyuan celestials to step into and live in.
Wow.
The author only needed to get into a car with a few personal belongings, likely just clothes and immediate essentials, and drive to the new location.
That is wild.
There was no packing up a household, no dragging heavy furniture downstairs. They simply took a suitcase and walked out the door.
This completely hacks the system. I mean, it is like the ultimate spiritual Airbnb.
Or a cosmic timeshare, yeah.
You are entirely stripping away the burden of property ownership and that heavy emotional attachment to your stuff. You just plug and play into a new life.
It is incredibly efficient.
You get all the pros of moving, the new ambiance of Anaheim Lake, the fresh environment, the escape from the old routine with literally zero of the physical cons.
Yeah, no heavy lifting, no packing tape, no moving trucks.
It is a total reinvention of what a home is. Home ceases to be a collection of your specific hoarded objects that you drag around like a turtle shell.
I love that analogy, a turtle shell.
Yeah, and instead, home becomes a fluid shared space within a trusted network.
Exactly. Zhu Feng compares this effortless, frictionless transition to moving in the 1,000-year world.
Moving in the 1,000-year world, that phrase implies a state of existence that is elevated entirely beyond the mundane daily frictions of bureaucracy and physical labor that the rest of us just accept as normal.
It represents a utopian ideal, a world where human energy isn't wasted on hoarding and transporting material goods.
It's beautiful in a way.
It is. Su Feng concludes this thought by saying that just speaking in terms of the logistics of moving alone, becoming a Chanyuan celestial is a great blessing and fortune.
I bet.
They found a way to satisfy that deep human need for novelty and reset while completely bypassing the punishment of the cardboard box.
It is a really fascinating evolution to track through this essay. You start with this incredibly relatable, grounded pain, right?
Right, the packing.
The physical ache of packing, the mental drain of bureaucracy, the dirt under your fingernails work of planting a new garden.
And through the sheer repetition of doing it nearly 30 times, the author pushed right through to the other side of the concept of ownership itself.
The physical act of moving 30 times highlighted the absurdity of how much weight we force ourselves to carry.
And the resolution they found wasn't to buy a bigger truck or get better at packing.
Wrong.
The resolution was to stop carrying it entirely.
That's the real revelation.
By helping build this network of havens for Chanyuan celestials, they created an infrastructure where leaving your life intact for someone else isn't a loss.
It is the ultimate luxury.
Yes.
It is a profound shift in perspective, and it really makes you look around your own living space right now.
It certainly does.
If you are listening to this, I want you to just think about your own home for a second. Think about those boxes in the garage or the back of a closet, full of those seldom used items that are physically taking up space and mentally weighing you down.
Those doom boxes.
Exactly. Or maybe think about the environment outside your door. Are there situations or dynamics you wish you could just drive away from with nothing but a suitcase in the trunk?
It raises a powerful question about what actually anchors us in life. Imagine if you adopted this Chanyuan celestial style of moving tomorrow.
Just tomorrow, right out of the blue.
Yeah, if you walked out your front door right now, leaving your favorite couch, your curated bookshelf, your carefully decorated space for someone else to step into, and you simply walked into a new, fully furnished life somewhere else.
Wow.
Would you feel totally liberated? Or would you feel like you left a fundamental piece of your identity behind?
That's the real question.
What does our stuff actually mean to us if the ultimate blessing is simply being able to walk away from it?
That is a thought that is definitely going to stick with me the next time I have to wrestle with a roll of packing tape. Thank you for joining us as we explored this incredible journey from a dreaded household chore to a radical utopian ideal. We will see you on the next deep dive.